This is a presentation on aposematic color variation of rough-skinned newts, Taricha granulosa. I am Adam Stone. First off, a little background. There have been many papers published on the toxicity variability of rough-skinned newts. They are extremely poisonous. The toxin that they carry is called tetrodotoxin. It's a neurotoxin that binds to and blocks sodium-potassium channels in most vertebrates, usually resulting in death. There were not a lot of papers that I found that talked about the aposematic color variation that rough-skinned newts use to advertise their toxicity. I did find some papers on aposematic color variation in other amphibian species. I have one referenced here, the Wang and Schaefer paper, that talked about poison dart frog color variability. The difference here is in the poison dart frogs, there is a huge variability in color. They can be bright blue, they can be bright orange, bright yellow. In rough-skinned newts, the color, their ventral color, is only in the orangish yellowish range. And so my project is unique in that I want to see if there are certain bands of orangish yellowishness that are selected for in certain populations. The methods. I originally selected 6 field sites, 3 on the coast, 3 in the valley of Oregon, the Willamette Valley. I was not able to find newts at very many of the coast field sites, which is why you see 5 field sites on the coast listed here. I used 2 different cameras, my iPhone X and Nikon D3100 DSLR, to take pictures of the ventral color of my specimens. And then I used a color analysis software, SE Color Maker. This software returns red, green, blue values of an image. And so I use this to get red, green, blue values of the newt's ventral coloring, and I tried to use a spot just below the margin of the dorsal coloring and the ventral coloring on either the torso or the tail. And then I created graphs and entered data using Google Sheets. So due to the lack of specimens that I was able to observe at the coast, I narrowed the project to characterizing the aposematic color variation for populations that I could observe, which included Corvallis and Lowell, Oregon. The results were there is no significant difference in coloration between these populations. However, I did find a surprising result. The difference in red values, blue values, and green values between individuals was surprisingly consistent. This little guy is the only newt that I found at the coast near Newport. The photo on the left, you can see I have him flipped over onto his back, and this orangish yellowish ventral coloring is the color that I am attempting to characterize. This is another one at the field site near Lowell. This is a little bit different. You can see a dark line running along the midline, and then it fades into a pale yellow and then fades into an orange before it hits the brown dorsal coloring. So here we can see the average red, green, blue values for each specimen in the Corvallis site, the Lowell site, and then the one newt that I found near Newport. The difference in red, green, blue values that I was talking about, the consistency between those. For example, if you look at the graph for Corvallis on the left, specimen 3, that little valley the difference between the red and the green is approximately the same as the difference between the red and the green for specimen 4, specimen 5, specimen 6, specimen 7. This difference also holds if you look at the Lowell graph on the right. It's incredibly consistent, and I was surprised, and I wonder if this would hold true if we expanded this research to other populations, maybe up to British Columbia, up to Alaska. So one of the biggest things, one of the biggest confounding factors was I didn't find very many newts at the coast. I think one of the reasons could have been is I found most of the newts in the Willamette Valley when I did my first round of field work in early April, and I did my second round of field work in mid to late May. And so I wonder if the newts were just had a spurt of activity, maybe from mating when I did my first round of field work. And when I did my field work in May, I wonder if the weather had gotten too warm, if it was too dry, if they were done mating. So it could have been a timing difference, could have been a weather difference. I have some pictures of other herps I observed here. We've got a Pacific chorus frog here and a garter snake on the right. This is a northern red-legged frog that I saw in a pool in which I observed 2 other rough-skinned newts. I feel like this is just scratching the surface. Some ideas for future research: you could characterize the color gradients, like in that newt that we saw at the Lowell site. It had that dark line running down the middle and it faded to yellow and then orange, but the one on the coast was mostly just a monotone orange. It'd be interesting to look at the difference in color gradients. It'd be interesting to look at population density differences between the coast and the valley. And it would also be interesting to look at individual color development over time. Thank you very much.